All right, hello NeBBL. We are at Season 2, Round 1. So this is your update video as of the end of Round 1. We'll look at the official league spreadsheet, we'll do some housekeeping, and we'll welcome our new coaches. So as you can see here, our overview, we're up to 13 teams this season. That's awesome. We will have the Silver Kings joining us for the rounds when Peter is in town. So we've got 12 full-time, and then one will be bringing in and out as Peter's in town, and we'll figure out how to work that out starting in Round 3. All right, so first thing, some housekeeping here. Let's jump over to the Google Drive folder. So here is the Google Drive folder. Hopefully you've all have seen this. The link is in the description of the Facebook group, and you've all been sent an invite to add this to your Google Drive when we started Season 2. So here is all the copies of the rules and everything you might need, as well as everyone's official or everyone's personal spreadsheets and the match records. So here's all where your match records go. I think we're still missing one from round 1, so that's Severin and Josh. You guys need to put this in here, otherwise your opponents will be allowed to force you to use your old roster, because if your match record is not in here, the game never happened, which means none of your upgrades happened. So let's see, we've got one round 2 game already submitted and played. That's great, but we will not be looking at that in this video. All right, one other thing I want to point out is we did have a concede this round, which is unfortunate for the first round. It happens, life happens, we understand. But of course, your opponent was expecting a game, so they will get something for that. So all the rules for the concedes are in here. Basically, if no coach, the ones you want to be aware of is if nobody attempts to schedule a game, then the game, of course, doesn't happen. It's a concede loss for both. And if one coach attempts to schedule and the other coach never responds, then that coach obviously wins and the other concedes. This is why it's important to schedule in the scheduling thread, or at least make the effort to contact your opponent in the scheduling thread. If this is the case, then I, as the commissioner, will be able to sort it out and say, okay, I can see that you made the attempt and your opponent never responded. So if you privately message them or email them or whatever it is, I can't see that. So I don't know who is at fault here, who didn't respond to who. So then it's hearsay. So if you want to be sure that you made the attempt and it's public that you made the attempt, you should do it in the scheduling thread. And then if they don't respond, then you can try another channel and whatever. But ideally, everyone does it in the scheduling thread so everybody knows what's going on. That way also we can see where each other are playing and we can try to hang out together. Okay, so the other one that's probably most important, the miss the match or no show, is the worst one, of course. That's yeah, that's longer, but it's obviously worse for you as the conceder, and your opponent who actually showed up to the match gets, extra bonuses for that, because that's pretty brutal. Last minute changes, so less than 24 hours. You have to offer your opponent a concede in this case, and then, maybe they'll be nice and not accept the concede and accommodate you. But if it's a last minute change, then you have to offer them the concede, and then it's up to the coach who isn't changing the schedule to accept the concede or to accommodate the change. It's up to them. In the case of like last minute scheduling, so if say there's a round and it's the 19th of the month and the round ends on the 20th, and one coach finally responds and says, oh, I can play tomorrow and only tomorrow, well, they also have to offer a concede, and it's up to the coach who already tried to schedule to accept that game, or they'll just take the other opponent's concede. It's just about being respectful to each other's times. And here's basically what happens, okay? Okay, so let's move on from that. The link to this is in the Google Drive, as well as on the description of the group. Those links are all in there. Okay, so basically how this works is every week, every round, I go through the previous results of the week, and we kind of just quickly look at each team. So the league spreadsheet here is the official status of every team. So this is the one that actually matters in terms of the league itself. The one in the Google Drive is for you personally, which also has to be updated, because that's what your opponent can also look at. But it's more for your benefit and for me to double check what's going on in the league, because I need to know what skills you've taken, and your treasuries and things like that are more taken from here. But in terms of like the results and stuff, it's the league spreadsheet that counts. Okay, so let's just jump right in there. So let's see, we got the overview here. Here are the results from round 1. We had the Raccoon City Stars winning 1-0 over the Humans of Nelson. Klondike Komodos, Mayhem Marauders, that was the concede. So just a 1-0 concede, basically. The game didn't happen. Tree Sharps versus White Trash, 0-2. So the White Trash taking that 2-0. The High Street Lowlives versus the New Orc team versus the New Elven Union team. 2 touchdowns for the Orcs, but 3 for the Elven Union. Gravedigger's Bane taking on the Descriptors with a 3-0 win for the Descriptors, and then Cheez It and the Demon Seals in Distress with a 1-1 tie. So there's all those stats. Here's the current rankings. The only change here is that the points are 3 for a win, 2 for a draw, 1 for a loss, and 0 for a concede. So actually Mayhem Marauders here will actually have 0 points, not 1 point. So that is where for ranking. Team stats, not a whole lot here yet because it's the first round, but Elven Union and Descriptors with the highest total touchdowns and the highest offense, of course. Klondike Komodos with their concede, and the Raccoon City Winds, White Trash, and Descriptors all with 0 against, so with the best defense. Best differential with the Descriptors with 3. Casualties, the Demons in Distress causing 4 total casualties, so they are now the roughest team, and also tied for the toughest team with a whole bunch of teams here. Best differential also goes to the Demon Seals in Distress, and most expensive team is now at the end of round 1 the Raccoon City Stars at 1590, followed by the Tree Sharps at 1530, the Humans of Nelson and White Trash around the 1490, 1480. The most popular team with the highest fan factor is White Trash with fan factor of 7, then a couple ties for 6, and so on. The gate magnets for this round were the Tree Sharps, drawing in 14,000 fans. That is including the painting bonus. Remember, if your team is painted as per the league rules, you do add +1 to your roll when you figure out how many fans are attending. So an extra 1,000 people basically show up to cheer you on and admire how good you look. So the White Trash versus Tree Sharps game, hotly anticipated with 26,000 fans attending. Player stats. For many of you, this will be familiar from last season because, of course, it hasn't changed too much since then, but we'll see how the league develops. So this is the best players is still Runs, the descriptor from the Vampire Blitzer from the Descriptors with 37 SPP. The best scorers is Trucker Hat with 5, although I think he might be at 7. I'm not sure. Ross, I think, hasn't updated that. We'll go over that. And then we have 2 of the Tree Sharps, the catchers, with 4 touchdowns each. The best passers, Cyrus from the Humans of Nelson with 4 completions, followed by Airlane Swifty Shady Vale with 3. And the retired Studley Muffin here with the most interceptions, still with the only interception ever in the league. And then most vicious players, the White Trash Mummy Impotent with 8 casualties. Leon the Werewolf from the Raccoon City Stars with 4. And the most MVPs is Runs, the Descriptors Vampire Blitzer, and the catcher from the Tree Sharps with 3 behind him there. Okay, so let's go over the teams real quick. Some of these teams from last season we'll just quickly gloss over. Basically, I've taken the spreadsheet from last year. I've updated it based on the status of your spreadsheets from the end of the season and now as of the first game. So in terms of the Tree Sharps, there is the 2 War Dancers, 1 Agi up with Strip Ball, and the other Mighty Blow movement up. And then the 1 catcher with an Agi up and block, the new catcher with a movement increase, and then 1 catcher with block and sidestep, and then a lineman with kick. 60,000 in the treasury, 2 rerolls, fan factor 6, and an apothecary. So 1530. Not much new there from last season. This is Silver Kings. Nothing new here from last season. Hasn't been updated, but of course Peter hasn't played this season. This lineman won't be here though because he's got 11 players. He doesn't need the lineman, I think. So when Peter plays, he'll have to update this. Okay, descriptors. So this is after the first game of season 2. So now the Runs now has Pro as well as Blodge, and then also the Grasps also now has Pro, another Block Vampire, and then a new Vampire, and then we've got 1 stat bust here on Handsome. We've got a movement increase on Stomps, and now we've got this one, a strength increase. So we've got a strength 4 Thrall with stands, so that is 1 expensive blood bag there, adding 50,000 to his 40,000, making it 90. 5 rerolls, 5 fan factor, 1 apothecary, 30,000 in the bank, brings us to 1470 for the descriptors. Looking good this season. So the Shambling Undead, the White Trash, the team to beat. These guys were the unstoppable team last season. We got 1 guard white, we got a Mighty Blow guard white, got a block ghoul, the league MVP currently, Trucker Hat, with a block and strength increase, so a strength 4 Blodge Ghoul. Although, rumor has it, some crazy shit happened last night in round 2. We'll cover that at the end of this round. We got a wrestling dodge ghoul, so Raj ghoul, and then a new ghoul, unnamed currently. Then we've got, of course, Gordon Ramsay's the third with guard and a movement increase, impotent with block and guard. And then we have the skeleton boots with guard. 3 rerolls, fan factor 7, 120 in the bank. I think, let's go pop over to white trash here. I think Ross hasn't updated this, so some of that stuff is not quite right. So if you go to version history here, I think Ross has not updated this. Yeah, so since his game, since before the game with the tree sharp, so this spreadsheet is not quite up to date. Ross will have to update that. Okay, so let's move on. New team here, the Elven Union team, coached by Cyrus, unnamed yet, unnamed players. But basically, so far they've got the blitzers, 2 blitzers, a thrower, 2 catchers, and he's got a good start here with an agi up on the first game and a double to get guard, 20,000 in the bank, 3 rerolls, 1 fan factor, and an apothecary for 1130. Okay, so, and I think, yeah, that was, the status as last I copied it. So Gravedigger's Bane, the Dark Elf team. Couple injuries, some missed next games here. So we've got one Line Elf missed next game. We've got the Assassin was missed next game, but I think that is cleared for round as of round 2 because the game was played. So round 3, the Assassin will come back. Witch Elf with Sidestep. We've got a Line Elf with Block. We've got Blitzer with Sure Hands and Juggernaut. And we've got another blitzer with pass block, and a runner with kickoff return. And then, yeah, the witch elf with sidestep. Rerolls 1, fan factor 5, 2 assistant coaches, 2 cheerleaders, an apothecary, 30,000 in the bank for 1070. Of course, because these 2 MGs don't count for the team value. So that is the as of end of round 1, but I know this game was played, so I don't know if I don't think Brad updated this since his game last night, so pretty sure this is the status as of end of round 1. Necromantic Horror marks Raccoon City's stars. So we've got now, as of the first game of season 2, block and movement increase on one werewolf, block and an agi increase on the other werewolf. Then we've got a block golem, a guard golem, a guard white with a niggling, and then another white with a niggling injury. We've got some zombies, and we've got one zombie with kick, and one ghoul with sure hands, and then a newer ghoul. 3 rerolls, fan factor 6, 1 cheerleader, 1 necromancer, and 90 in the bank. Okay, so let's move on here. Humans of Nelson. We've got the blitzer with agi up and guard, a guard ogre, block thrower, movement increase thrower, the catcher with a movement increase but an armor bust, and another catcher. No other upgrades here. 4 rerolls, 5 fan factor, an apothecary, and 140 in the bank. And let's go here. So we're getting into some of the newer teams here. We've got the High Street Lowlifes, the orc team. That is the 4 blitzers, 4 black orcs, a thrower, 2 line orcs. And for the first game, they got an upgrade. They got a mighty blow on one of the blitzers. 3 rerolls and 50,000 in the bank. So another new team here, the Komodo Klondikes, Lizardman team. 6 blockers, 2 chameleon skinks, 3 runners. No upgrades here. We got this was the one that Matthias got for the concede here, so he's got the 2 MVPs for that one concede, which is actually quite good when you think about it, because there's a Saurus now with a touchdown and another Saurus with an MVP. You know, that's going to set him up in a good position for the next games. 3 rerolls and 80,000 in the bank. And so let's move on to, this was the Chaos team. Let's see, so we had Komodo Dragon, Komodo Klondikes, and then the May Marauders. I think Tay has not filled this out and built his team yet. Hopefully he'll get that up soon. And we can figure out what is the status of this Chaos Chosen team will be joining us. So Skaven, Josh G's Cheez-Its. We've got 2 throwers. Let's see, it's kind of hard to read. Two Storm Vermin Blitzers, 2 Gutter Runners. No stat increases, just a MVP on the Blitzer and a touchdown on one of the Line Rats. 2 rerolls, fan factor 1, assistant coaches 1, cheerleaders 1, apothecary 1, treasury 50,000. So nothing, no upgrades there yet. And then we've got the Demons of Corn, the Demon Zills in Distress with, I think, yeah, so Severin did play. So I think he just hasn't updated his spreadsheet. So a lot of you guys, you need to update your spreadsheets. Yeah, please keep them up to date. It's considered bad form because you're able to look at your opponents and they can't look at yours. So it's not really fair. That's why we have it all in one place. Everyone can see what's going on. And remember, if you haven't updated it and you haven't submitted your match reports, your opponent is always able to force you to use this one, the official league spreadsheet. So they can take this to the game and say, you didn't update your stuff, you didn't submit your match records, I'm forcing you to use your old roster. And they can choose that, which roster, if you haven't submitted anything, for example. So it's really important that you keep everything up to date. It makes the league a lot easier for me to run. As you can tell, this takes a lot of time, and I don't want to have to be chasing stuff down, and it's also fair to all your opponents. So everybody, keep your spreadsheets up to date and make sure you submit your match records in the Facebook group and in the Google Drive. That is essential. It is not optional. It is required. Okay, so everybody, yeah, that's it. That's the end of round 1 update. A lot of exciting stuff to look forward to this season with 13 teams and a lot of variety of teams. It's going to be really cool. Everybody, that is it. Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys for round 2.